Do you guys remember back in 2024 when the campaign was going on and the one hill that these people had to die on that actually seemed to have any kind of nobility and morality is, well, at least he's not going to start any new wars, and he didn't get us in any new wars the last 4 years, and that's the evidence that I have, and so I'm America first, no new wars, and that's that. That's the hill that they were dying on. You guys remember that? You remember those days, Nick?
I remember those days. I mean, a lot of people said I can't vote for Kamala because she's going to start World War III or she's going to go to war with Iran.
I literally stopped talking to two people that I would talk to quite regularly, and that was the last thing that we kind of said to each other. And they were like, "You're gonna vote for Kamala, and I'm voting for Trump because we all have sons, and I don't want my sons dying in some dumb fucking war."
That's exactly, I believe it was Stephen Miller that tweeted the same thing, that if you vote for Kamala, your sons and daughters are going to die overseas in wars.
Well, I mean, that's just kind of the way it is.
As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys ever watched the movie Paid in Full, but there's this great line. Cameron's playing Rico. It's based on a true story, and his partner gets shot, and he had him set up. And his partner's like, "I'm out, man. I don't want to do this no more." And Rico's like, "People get shot every day, B. You be all right. You tough, right?"
It's
the same energy. This guy's Rico.
Are you surprised, though? I mean, this is the same guy that called soldiers that were killed suckers and losers. You know, the fact that the military supports this man after the way he can disparage troops that were killed in action is mind-numbing to me. I just don't understand. And then to basically say, hey, that's the way it is. Them's the breaks. We're going to have some deaths in U.S. soldier deaths. And what can you do about it?
It's like this guy's playing with toy soldiers. Like, that's the same amount of value that he gives to people, to his soldiers. It's the same thing. He looks at people as objects, as a means to an end, as toys for him to play with. And I mean that. I mean that sincerely. That's the way how he looks at it. But this is just so maddening because it wasn't just him saying no new wars. It was all his pundits. It was all his sycophants. It was all his followers. It was all his supporters that were dying on that hill. Again, I lost 2 friendships over that. That was the last thing that they felt like they were morally right.
And you know what's funny about all that? How many wars did Biden start? Zero. And
in fact, he got quite the opposite treatment because his approval rating started to plummet when he pulled out of Afghanistan because they say it was a botched job. And you know, there's 2 sides to every story. And the left side is like, hey, it costs money. It literally costs money to bring it back. It might not be worth the money to bring back this old equipment. And so we left equipment. And they're going to say, well, we funded them. Whatever the case is, he also had to hold by the terms that Trump agreed to.
That's true. It was more the soldiers that were killed. I think there were 7 soldiers that were killed, but it was always going to be chaotic. It was always going to be chaotic. I actually thought that Biden could have, or the military could have done a better job in the withdrawal, but we needed to withdraw. Biden got us out of the war. Thank God. Unfortunately, 7 soldiers were killed. I think it was 7. But yeah, his approval rating plummeted after that. And it never came back. According
to Scott Jennings, Trump's not starting a war. He's ending a regime at war with the U.S. Apparently, we were already at war. We didn't know this yet. And that's just, this is his own Twitter page, right? Those are his words. And we're not going to listen the whole thing to where he actually says that part. We're just going to play the first 30, 40 seconds of this because he comes in hot.
They're going to have an impact on the economy of China because that's where they get their oil from Iran. And what we did in Venezuela, what we did in China, and what we did in Iran has as much to do with China.
Was that a Freudian slip? No, and I mean that too, right? Because if we shut down the Strait of Hormuz, that is going to affect China, right? Because they get a majority of their oil. They get a good chunk of their oil from that shipping lane. Right. And he seems really giddy about that. And I'm sure China is going to be really happy about it, too. Right. And I'm just, they talk about Cuba. They talk about Venezuela. We were in Nigeria a little while ago. Maybe we're going to do something in South Africa, Greenland, Canada. Like, we're just working our way up to the big dogs, I guess.
Yeah. It's a ladder.
China, I think, as anything, I also want to say, may God rest the souls of those troops, but they died in a noble cause.
What's that? What's the noble cause?
And as Buddy said, 47 years, Americans are dead, the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world. I totally disagree with you about the threat not being imminent. I spoke to very senior administration officials yesterday. They believe that the Iranian regime was about to fire ballistic missiles, not the United States, but into U.S. military bases.
Why do we care? Why do we care then?
Wait, because they're not going to be able to hear the audio. So listen, they might attack, American bases. We care about that, right? We should care about that. But he didn't stop.
Fire ballistic missiles, not at the United States, but into U.S. military bases and civilian targets. They were going to attack Israel. They're already attacking other Gulf states.
They were going to attack who?
They were
You
going
let
to
the
attack
cat
Israel.
out of the bag, dude. Listen. They're not a puppet state of us. We are a puppet state of them. They're not one of our proxies. They're not one of our allies. We're their bitch.
This Scott Jennings just said, and I want to make this clear. He said those soldiers died a noble death, which, I would agree, whatever. But then he also said that the noble death was in support of Israel. So those soldiers died for Israel. And again, you want to make that argument? I don't think it's a worthwhile argument. I think that Israel is capable of fighting their own wars. And if Israel wanted to take out Khomeini, they should have just done it.
They've done so in the past. They have the track record of being able to win wars on all fronts around them. They are so militarily supreme, and they're not alone in the area anymore. Saudi Arabia are not like adversaries to them anymore. UAE is not adversaries. Kuwait is not an adversary to them anymore. Right? They're trading partners now. They have mutually aligned interests. None of them like Iran. They didn't need our fucking help for this. They honestly did not need our help for this.
And then Scott Jennings, again, they're trying to make the case that Iran was a threat to the United States. But in doing so, he basically told on himself because he basically said, no, they're a threat to Israel. They're only a threat to Israel.
And look, Israel's not stopping. Right? So, again, this is how World War III shit starts. Just in, Israeli media says that Khamenei, our next target is Tayyip Erdogan. And that is Turkey.
Erdogan, yeah.
Erdogan. And in case you guys aren't familiar, Turkey is a NATO country for those keeping track. So...
And that's about Syria. So that's about control of sections of Syria. So who knows how that's going to play out.
But so now, if Israel attacks Turkey, does that invoke Article 5?
I would assume
because if that does invoke Article 5, how is that not World War III instantly?
I mean, it's hard to comprehend that Israel would do something like that since Turkey is a NATO country, but I have no idea.
You know what?
And maybe they'll fight proxies in Syria, so it wouldn't be an attack on Turkey. Because it is about Syria. So
here's the thing, right?
It's very disturbing that this is even coming out. I think that's the point that you're making.
You're being an alarmist, though. You're not giving him a chance. There's a plan in place, and that's something that you need to just let him cook.
Can I stop you for a second on the plan? Because let's talk about this, because like Scott Jennings is out there that he has a plan. All these MAGA influencers are out there saying that he has a plan, and they're always conflicting plans. Why doesn't Trump just say what his fucking plan is, right? Did all these guys have to make up a plan for him? Because they cannot ever criticize him.
Didn't Trump say his plan is to give the Iranian people the chance to get their freedom, and this is the one chance that they're ever going to have? So that's his plan is to fuck shit up, cause chaos, and hopefully in the midst of the chaos, the people will rise up and install a friendly government. I think that's his plan, and I don't understand why you're not letting him cook. You need to let him cook. You need to have faith in the president and all his actions. Listen.
And Dan, your message to some of our friends on the right who are saying, look, President Trump ran on no regime change, and now President Trump is doing regime change. You see the Democrats are picking up on that for 2026 themes. Your message to them tonight.
Well, it's incredible how the doomers, Lawrence, it hasn't even been 24 hours. It's happened at 3 a.m. It's not 3 a.m. Eastern time. Can you give the man a chance to cook a little bit?
I know he said he wasn't going to do regime change, but can you just let him do a little fucking regime change? I mean, why are you being all doomer about this? I know he said he wasn't going to do the thing that he's doing now, but I mean, what's wrong with that?
It's funny, the guy that said that he's going to release the Epstein files, was in the FBI, didn't release any Epstein files, now is covering for the guy that said, I'm not going to do a regime change, is doing a regime change. It seems like MAGA is just a bunch of fucking lies. But
I say it all the time, man. These motherfuckers stand for absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
They stand for nothing. They could look you dead in the eye and say that something is the most important issue ever, and this is what the hill that they're going to die on. And then Trump comes out the very next day, says the complete opposite, and they will change their fucking tune and tell you how you have Trump derangement syndrome because you ever thought differently. These guys are absolute fucking just psychos, dude. These guys are weird. These guys are psychos. Like they don't have an original thought that stands on principle, that means anything to them internally as who they that affects their own identity on a deep level. They don't, because if they did, they would hear some of this shit. And listen, some of them do, right? Some of them that are really principled on the Epstein thing. You know, you see the tweets all the time. They're like, I'm done. I'm out. I don't know how the fuck I felt for this guy. This guy's full of shit. Good on you. Good on you.
Out
You
of the
actually stood
party.
on something.
The people that are principled are like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's out of Congress. They ran her out. Tom Massey, they're trying to primary him, right, to run him out of the party. They call him a rhino. Tom Massey is one of the most conservative politicians there is. I agree with like basically nothing with Tom Massey. And for them to call him a rhino is just ludicrous, but that's what they all do, right, because he disagrees with the president.
Right. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, again, it's been said they're dying for a noble cause, and you should just accept that. Stop being anti-American. Bill Ackman, like, so this is a retweet. This is his pinned fucking tweet, by the way. So this is in response
Before you
to,
go,
Bill
Ackman is a billionaire that has become like one of Trump's most ardent supporters somehow. I don't understand it, but like this guy's a maniac. He's like a billionaire hedge fund owner, and he's like he tweets constantly all day long, and and his tweets are like pages of just drivel.
Well, this one's quick, short, sweet, to the point, right? In response to the confirmed 3 soldiers losing their lives in this operation, he goes, the greatest sacrifice one can make is to give one's life up for another. In this case, for hundreds of millions of Americans, 90 million freedom-loving Iranians, and the rest of the world for whom a nuclear and terrorist threat is in the process of being removed. I thought we already did that. Words are inadequate to honor those who made the ultimate sacrifice. So here's a thought. Don't fucking do it then. Shut the fuck up.
Here's the thing. I want to say, I mean this to all these guys that are saying that this is the greatest honor, the greatest sacrifice. Why aren't your kids enlisting? Bill Ackman, have your fucking kids enlist, right? Send them to fucking Iran instead of the 3 kids that I don't know the 3 kids, and I apologize to the families if I'm insulting you, but those 3 kids might have been pulling themselves out of poverty. God only knows why they enlisted. If the greatest sacrifice, Bill, you should be honored that your kids joined the fucking military to fight in this war. I would say the same thing about Elon Musk. Hey, Donald Trump, why don't you send Barron to the Marines? I'm sure they would
Elon
love
has
to take
like 15 kids, dude. That could make them. That's a squad right there. That's a whole squad.
They don't expect their kids to die in these fucking wars. They want Americans from the Midwest, from poor areas, to go and die in these wars.
Well,
and
that's the cost. That's the cost. Because if you're not aware, our ambassador to the UN, Mike Waltz, in response to the same tweet, said, "Freedom is never free."
That is the most callous fucking tweet I've seen. Basically, 3 soldiers died in a war in the Middle East, because of course they did. And his thing is freedom is never free. Who's freedom? Who's freedom?
He's literally quoting Team America. I shit you not.
Would you think about all them war vets, and would you start to feel bad? Freedom isn't free. It costs folks like you and me. And if we don't all chip in, we'll never pay that bill. Freedom isn't free.
It's just sad. It's just sad that these are elected representatives. I mean, Walz is not, but he was appointed by Trump. It's really fucking sad. And again, whose freedoms are we talking about? Like, Iran, by all accounts, was not a threat to the United States.
But you don't feel more free today than you did Friday?
No.
No.
Well, I mean, they are forcing broadcasts to do pro-American TV shows. So that does make me feel very free.
You should.
The president also basically bullied Netflix out of the Warner Brothers Discovery merger, choosing his buddy Larry Ellison instead. That doesn't feel very free to me.
Trump
What else?
derangement syndrome. Trump
I do
derangement
have-
syndrome.
I do
We're
have
in a
Trump
we're in a golden age, Nick. We're in a golden age. I don't know how you don't see this. Don't believe your lying eyes.
I just want people to understand that the shit that's happening is not normal. It's not normal. And there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way you do. This is fucking insane. Anyway.
Well, hopefully we brought you guys a little levity. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Keep your head up out there. I know it's rough. But listen, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the bell icon to get notified when we drop a new episode, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Peace.